the youth class. And for that, our youth class is going to be taught by Ali bin Saad, only a
Assalamu
few,
alaikum.
oh, walaikum salam wa rahmatullah, only a few years removed from himself being a youth. Ali, I remember Ali being a young student when I taught in Central Jersey, or some people would have called it South Jersey, in Middletown, New
Yeah,
Jersey, a
mashallah.
class for youth. And now, mashallah, he keeps studying and studying and studying. And
Mashallah.
now he's the teacher of our youth, and he has a class called Hadith for youth. But if anyone knows anything about Hadith and Quran, they open up to all the subjects. So he may as well cover many other subjects that overflow beyond Hadith. All right, so Ali, take it away. And if you have a screen, let me know. We could just share that.
Inshallah ta'ala. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi. I just want to say right off the bat, StreamYard, way better than Zoom, mashallah. It's been easy for all these transitions and stuff, and it looks great, mashallah. So I hope that, I ask that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses Dr. Shadi and Safina Society. Alhamdulillah, it's been great being on the student side, and then slowly transitioning into teaching at a youth level. And for me, that's always been my goal, alhamdulillah, teaching and benefiting from the youth as much as possible. And through this effort, especially with last term where we had the introduction class to fiqh, and that was really great, fiqh for youth. And alhamdulillah, those students, I don't know if any of them are watching or if their parents are watching, but they were very, very active. They enjoyed it a lot from what the feedback that we were getting, alhamdulillah. And they were doing really well with the class. And I asked that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses them too. And we thought to ourselves, we said, we want to open up more classes for youth. And, we have a great thing too, because of the current situation with the virus and everything, that everybody has to stay home. And a lot of kids are running around the house screaming, and summer camps are closed. You can't take your kids anywhere, right? They're all at home. And so it's actually our advantage now that we can put them in an online program that's live with instructors. And alhamdulillah, we have so many options with Safina Society. And then on the other end, we have openings of more hadith classes. And I've actually been telling Dr. Shadi for a while that we needed some of them, as were a number of other students, particularly with ijaza classes. And so the class with Mufti Niyaz, I 100% will be taking that class, and I recommend for a lot of people to do so. It's not often that you find somebody who is knowledgeable in the field of hadith, who is available to teach online. And so whenever you have those opportunities, you should always take them. And alhamdulillah, think of my class, Hadith for Youth, as the baby version of that class. The good thing about Hadith, like Dr. Shadi said, is that it always includes discussions into other subjects and into other fields. And I remember a while back, I was listening to Sheikh Shadi give his class on the Riyadh al-Salihin, which he does in the masjid at MBIC, and he does it with a small group of people weekly on Sundays. And you go off on so many tangents, and it's not really unrelevant tangents. It's actually very relevant, and a lot of people have a lot of questions and they bring them up, and it's something that adults really benefit from. But how do we actually translate that for youth, and how do we begin teaching youth? And you have a number of parents who are concerned about their child's education, particularly their fundamental Islamic education. And the fundamentals of Islam itself, it's not easy to teach, and it's not easy to find somebody who will dedicate their time to teaching that, or an institution that will do that. And so alhamdulillah, with Safina Society, we're starting to do that, and we're getting our foundations in to start building a platform for these for younger students online, alhamdulillah. And if I can share my screen, that would be great too. Let me look at Bismillah. Here we go. And so I'm going to share it here. So for this term, inshallah, we're going to be doing Hadith for Youth, and it's going to be based off of what I went around and I asked several knowledgeable teachers in the field of Hadith, and I asked them, what's the best possible book that I can teach younger children, or I could take from, or what's the best way to teach youth, and they all went back to the 40 of Imam an-Nawawi. And if you look into Hadith literature itself, almost every single Hadith scholar has written a 40-something, 40 hadith on this, 40 hadith on eating, 40 hadith on fasting, 40 hadith on Ramadan. The number 40 itself was known as a very easy number for people to memorize, right? If you want to give somebody the essentials of hadith, of Islam, you give it to them in 40 hadiths. Nowadays, if you want to give the essentials of something to somebody, you give them 5 things. Back then it was 1,000, and then they shortened it to like 100, and they shortened it to like 40. And so now we're at the stage of 5. I think pretty soon we're going to be getting into like 1 or even less. I don't even know what's going to happen after that. It's just the modern student is less interested in bulk knowledge and is more interested in concise knowledge. And so when we're talking about youth, we're really dealing with about 30 minutes of an attention span, you know, before kids really start getting bored. So giving hadith in a very easy way for them to remember, and a very easy way for them to hold on to is very, very important. It's valuable for them. So we're beginning these foundational works with children, and we want them to become productive members of society, particularly productive Muslim members of society, who are knowledgeable in their aqidah, who are knowledgeable in their theology, knowledgeable in their fiqh, or their ritual worship and their ritual practices. They know all about Islam at a fundamental level. And the foundations for this begin here in hadith. Hadith is very essential because it amasses so many fields of the Islamic Sharia. And in essence, it's where it all began. All of the sciences that we have in Islam, for people who want to study, who want to go into the study of seeking knowledge and so on, all of it attributes itself to the hadith literature and how that was compiled, and later how the teachers began to specialize and teach certain hadiths in certain fields. And then that's how you started getting fiqh, and that's how you started getting aqidah, and so on. Even the study of Quran attributes itself to a similar chain of narration that is also used in the hadith literature. So you can find different ways that hadith is related to the other sciences. And so it's really valuable for students to start with this step. So why the 40 hadith of Imam an-Nawawi? Because it's so relied upon. It's so common. If I tell you to go buy a book of hadith and you go to an Islamic bookstore, most likely that the bookseller, he's just going to pull out a copy of 40 Nawawi. It's in pocket editions, it's on your Kindle, it's on your iPhone and in an app, it's everywhere. So the 40 Nawawi of hadith, you can find it anywhere. On top of that, it's relied upon by almost every single sect of Islam. Like you have people from the far right, from the far left, from the far up, and from the far down. Everybody has read this book, has been touched by this book in one way or another. And it's a true testament to Imam an-Nawawi and to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's reward of those who have an honest intention behind doing things. And I ask that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives Safina Society that honest intention and that sort of fundamental, valuable work that similar to Imam an-Nawawi and how he has been able to affect generations of Muslims. I ask that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows for Safina Society and for Sheikh Shadi to have that sort of effect. Now with what we're doing with 40 Nawawi, are we actually teaching 40 hadiths to youth? Yes and no. Okay. We're teaching them an abridged version of it. And the reason for this is because going into detail on every single hadith in the 40 Nawawi, there are some hadiths that are relevant to children to understand, and some that they're not there yet, right? And so it could be introduced later on, you know, when they're a little further along their studies, possibly in middle school or high school, and so on. So the 40 hadith of Imam an-Nawawi, while they're meant to be basic hadith, not all of them match up with a youth's understanding of vocabulary and so on. So these 40 hadiths, what we do is we select some of them, and then through that selection, we go over known figures in the Islamic hadith tradition. So when you're reading hadith, what's great about it is you're going to hear a chain of narration. You know, from you're going to hear like Umar ibn al-Khattab, from the Prophet ﷺ, right? And so then you're going to have a discussion about who Umar ibn al-Khattab is, right? And so for a child who's 7, 8, 9 years old, they're going to learn about Umar ibn Khattab's life. And so on. They're going to learn about Imam al-Nawawi. They're going to learn about Imam Muslim, Imam Bukhari. They're going to learn about many of the Tabi'een, Hassan al-Basri. They're going to learn about so many of these important figures in Islam through every single hadith that's narrated. And from there, they're going to get, these little, think of it like a web, right? And they're going to start these little threads of understanding in different fields of Islam. And so they're going to know who Umar ibn Khattab is, who Imam Malik is, who Imam Abu Hanifa is, right? And then they're going to understand these figures. As they go through their study of Islam, they're going to be able to reference back to this class here. What's interesting is that for me, when I began my studies as a youth, I began my studies with Hadith. I began my studies with the 40 Nawawi, and then a class on Imam al-Bukhari and Imam Muslim. All were taught by Dr. Shadi like years ago, which was he was talking about in Middletown, and that's really funny because the funny story there was actually a funny story. He, mashallah, I think this was a little bit earlier in Dr. Shadi's days, but we showed up in t-shirts and shorts because it was the summer, and he looked at us, and because we were kids, like we were. It was me and my friends, and we were like a lot of kids. They came with like really short shorts or whatever, like bathing shorts to the masjid. So we didn't know that was improper dress for the masjid. Dr. Shadi took one look and he said, "Not again." And all the kids went home and they were so upset that they couldn't wear shorts. But mashallah, I think after that,
sweatpants.
Yeah, or like sweatpants. And anybody knows Dr. Shadi does not like sweatpants. No pajamas. No short sleeves, nothing. You come in, you dress well, and you sit down and you dress like you deserve the knowledge that's being given to you. So I think you come prepared for that, and that's a very Islamic understanding, and that's a very good understanding too. Moving past that, and alhamdulillah, what we're looking at here in the third bullet point: 12 weeks and 24 classes. So it's actually really good. You have 12 weeks, 24 classes. It comes out to be 12 hours of instruction for every single child. Those 12 hours, they'll be able to get a good fundamental understanding of hadith, a good foundational understanding of who's who in Islam, and then on top of that, they get valuable lessons from the hadith tradition. Valuable lessons, like lifelong lessons. And so you learn these hadith and it sticks with you. The teachings of the Prophet ﷺ, what it means to have an intention, what it means to make dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what it means to pray, what it means to so many things that hadith touches. They will be able to walk away with those understandings. And I hope that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes it a blessed effort. Everybody here, we have an honest intention, and we're trying to do things that are geared towards your family, all of our families. And the people here, we're not some distant, far off organization that's like some crazy institution, one of these like large, like a Harvard or anything like that. We're your local people. We're everybody from the masjid. We come to the same prayers. We all eat from the same food. We all wear the same clothes. We all talk about the same everything. And so we go through life experiences together. And so we understand the things that youth are going to go through. I understand it, right? And so many other people do too. And we're all here at Safina Society trying to, make our community a better place, alhamdulillah. And that all starts with these classes here. And it all starts with Dr. Shadi as well. And I want to thank him and thank everybody for watching the stream, alhamdulillah. And I hope that, this served as a little bit of a benefit for you all. Alhamdulillah. And inshallah ta'ala, you guys will all benefit, bi'idhnillah.
Thank you very much, Ali, and for the important reminder that Imam al-Nawawi, what he provides for us is an example of al-Qubul, that Allah Ta'ala has accepted his intention. Imam al-Nawawi there's no building that he built, there's no country that he conquered. He put together books, and if you look at the work of 40 Nawawi hadiths, there's nothing except that he chose technically 42 hadiths. He put 2 extra in case you forget one, you'll still have 40 memorized. Mm-hmm. But he just gathered them. But why is it that his gathering of 40 hadiths when there are hundreds of scholars in the past who have gathered 40 hadiths? Why his 40 hadiths? And the ulama all tell us it's the ikhlas. Imam al-Nawawi has ikhlas, and he established the intention to collect the 40 hadiths that give us a foundation of our religion, and we actually have to take that as an example. And if there's one thing, it's not names, it's not anything else except for the qubul from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You should never trade that in. The barakah that Allah ta'ala accepts the intention. You could be doing something very simple, but Allah accepts the intention. It'll have a far-reaching impact, and that's what we hope to do. So we ask Allah ta'ala, firstly, thank you to Ali for the reminder on the importance and the example of Imam an-Nawawi in ikhlas. And all of us in our work, when you study, when you take these classes, come with ikhlas that you're going to teach this, that you're going to take it for yourself. You're the first person, and then to the next person next to you. And this is the first lesson that I personally received, and is the methodology of all the teachers that I took, is that this knowledge is meant for you first, and then to be passed on. And that's what Ali was alluding to, that this is not some we don't have interest in highfalutin ideas that have no impact on daily life. It's daily life, and it's lived life, and try to impact the next person down the road, the next person that you live with, and that's how khair is going to spread. Okay, and that's how the goodness is going to transmit. So thank you very much, Ali. If anyone has any questions on Ali's class, just send a message over. He has his own Safina Saadi email address, ali.bensad@safinasaadi.org, or send it to myarcview@safinasaadi.org if it's a logistical matter or administrative matter. So thank you very much, Ali. All right, now